Ladies and gentlemen, the CEO of Block.one, Brendan Bloomer.
Hello, everyone. We're so glad to have you here. I just want to say a quick thanks before we get started. From over 500 people, 90 teams representing over 44 countries. So congratulations to everybody and everything that's built, whether you're up here in the top 10 or not. It's the innovation that comes from people like you that makes our job really worth it. As you know, a lot of our core team is here today, and sometimes they get out of touch with actually the developers that are the ones leveraging the platforms, the ones that are going to decide how successful this ultimately is. And so it's great to see that innovation. And by innovation, I'm talking about everything from technology to things like Frodo here, who is on my arm, which is Dan's cat, who is as calculating and sneaky as he looks on this tattoo. But I'll just run through. Basically, I want to give a quick round of applause to our mentors. We had over 70 mentors around all weekend, so congratulations to everybody here. And I think we can go ahead and get started with the judging. So we'll get the show underway.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time. There is no more waiting. Who wants to hear about some finalists? Fantastic. If you're just joining us, my name is Brian. I've been leading us through this particular event. If you're joining us from downstairs, welcome to all of our spectators who are down in the welcome wing. We have an incredible 470 attendees who hacked with us all weekend. There's a few final things I want to hit upon before we go into the judging, and it's important to meet our judges as well. So if you didn't join us yesterday, the challenge that was finally released on the Saturday morning of the hackathon was around data security and privacy. The specific language of the challenge was that these hackers focused on over the last 26 hours was to create an application on the EOSIO platform that improves the relationship between technology and a user's privacy or security. What's already happened is that those teams have gone through a rigorous first round of judging from an incredible group of judges. If you were here in this room, before we go any further, can we get a warm round of applause for our first round judges, ladies and gentlemen? They worked hard to ensure that we got our top teams here, and we have a great lineup of a top 10 group. What are those folks, what are those top 10 finalists going after? Well, there's not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, but 6 different prizes they're going to be going after. 3 superlatives worth $3,000 each. I'll go more on those during the prizes. And of course, the top 3 prizes, each one with a cash value of $10,000, $25,000, and $100,000 respectively. And all 3 will get travel to the EOS Grand Finale in December at location yet to be disclosed. That's what they're going for as of right now. The judging criteria that the judges are going to be focusing on are as follows. There's 4 different judging criteria, 5 points each, a total of 20 points per judge. Number 1, the utilization of blockchain technology. 2, creativity. 3, impact. And 4, scalability. Those are the 4 pieces of criteria that the teams will be judged upon to determine who our overall prize winners are. And who's going to be judging us today? Well, we have a great group of judges that I'd like to introduce you to. First and foremost, you met him just a moment ago, but can I get a warm round of applause? CEO of Block.one, Brendan Bloomer, ladies and gentlemen. And for those of you who were here with us yesterday, and of course he was walking the halls as well, the CTO of Block.one, Dan Larimer, ladies and gentlemen. Joining us are a variety of other judges as well, including the founder of the Aperion Investment Group, Christian Angermeyer, ladies and gentlemen. Next up, she was also one of our round 1 judges. A warm round of applause. Sharon Henley, ladies and gentlemen. He was also here during the opening ceremony yesterday, and you might have had a chance to talk to him. Shane Kehoe, ladies and gentlemen. He was also here from the very beginning, has been walking around, General Counsel of Block.one, Lee Snyder. Another one of our round 1 judges who worked with us throughout the entire period, Michael Alexander. And last but certainly not least, a warm round of applause for our final judge today, Nicholas Oliver, ladies and gentlemen. And give a warm round of applause to all of our judges. They've got a big task ahead of them as they go through this. So if you missed what happened yesterday, here's the key points I just want to hit upon. The first round of demos is already done. We're going to announce the top 10 teams right here, and then we're going to move immediately into their demos. If you are called, I need you to come straight up into this main theater area and meet my team over on the stage right side where I am pointing now so that we can get you up here. You're going to bring your demo up to right here. It's going to be displayed to all of us right in front of everybody, both here and downstairs. If you are pitching, you're going to stand here and you're going to use the mic right over there. With that, same rules as round one. 3 minutes to pitch, 2 minutes for Q&A from the judges. And with that, there is nothing else to hide behind. We're going to be calling the finalists up in groups. We're going to do a group of 4, a group of 3, and a group of 3 in no particular order. This has nothing to do with score. Please, a warm round of applause for our very first finalist of the first group, Team EoShield. Come on down! Ladies and gentlemen, if I start to call your name, make your way as quick as you can over to that side without taking out any attendees in the process. Our second team, Team Anonymous, come on down! Team Anonymous, start to make your way that way as much as you can. Our third group in this first group we're going to call, and one of my favorite names so far of the hackathon, Team Pied Piper, come on down! And last of this first group of finalists, Team On the Block, come on down! Fantastic. So judges, once again, our first 4 teams are going to be Team EoShield, Team Anonymous, Team Pied Piper, and Team On the Block. So we're going to start with EoShield, move to Anonymous, Pied Piper, and On the Block. Team EoShield, would you guys like to come up and start to set up for your first round of demos? Fantastic. So if you go ahead and drop that, make sure you grab the mic and walk into the middle of the stage. So guys, whoever's pitching, if you want to grab that mic and hold it over into the middle. Thank you. Fantastic. EoShield, are you ready? Judges, are you ready? Teams, are you ready? Yeah. Let's kick off some finalists. You've got 3 minutes on the clock. Go.
Blockchain is terrifying. If you're a small business running a smart contract, you never know who the next person calling your code is going to be. Maybe they're a hacker trying to exploit a weakness in your C++ implementation. Maybe they're a somewhat shady character working for a terrorist organization or an organized crime ring. You don't know who you're engaging with until the moment that code starts to run. And to make matters worse, when it's done running, there's no taking it back. Blockchain is forever. So before you engage in an action, you should know who you're interacting with. EoShield is a managed security service distributed on the EOS blockchain that allows developers and users to understand who they're interacting with. The core of EoShield isn't some flashy UI, it's a single line of code that every developer could include in a smart contract. It reaches out to our smart contract and queries a reputational database that has a list of known malicious users. These users are ranked based on a kind of CVE score describing the risk involved in interacting with them. So for example, if a user has been known to participate in denial of service attacks or has recently stolen money from another contract, you can have your contract automatically refuse to engage with them and fail the action immediately. EoShield provides a layer of security not just for developers, but also for users. We keep track of contracts that are running malware based off of signatures and off of the accounts. So say there's a gambling contract that lies about its odds and says you have a 1 in 10 chance of winning when you really have a 1 in a million. This gets logged in our database, and as an end user, the interaction is simple. You can go to this page, you just type in the account, and you get a judgment straight out of our distributed application that tells you whether or not the account is known to be malicious. So where does this data come from? Well, there are 2 sources for the information. The first is really something that can only happen with blockchain. We have a reporting mechanism whereby any user who has a problem with a smart contract can say that, and developers can kind of use this report statistic to decide what level of trust they want. There's no centralized authority here. You just query the smart contract, and if there are 1,000 people complaining about an account, maybe you shouldn't interact with that account. Alternatively, and I think this is the coolest part of our application and the best business model, we've also implemented not just a blacklisting system, but a sort of whitelisting system, a security certification system. This replicates what we've seen as a successful business model in the internet world of SSL certificates. This is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and a smart contract operator can make money to sustain a smart contract by selling certifications to other developers. A developer can say, I've built code, can you audit it? And then after an audit, it gets added into this list of trusted contracts. Users can then say, I only want to interact with contracts that have been approved. I want to be as safe as possible. Or contracts can say, I only want to interact with users who have proven they have an identity to this trusted third party. Essentially, we bring a scalable source of trust into a trustless environment. Thanks.
And time with just a little bit to spare. EoShield, well done. Well done. It is hard to go first, and that is not a bad first impression. Judges, no worries, other teams. That's an easy act to follow. Judges, I've got 2 minutes on my clock for any questions you might have.
All right, I've got a question for you. If you got thousands of reports, how do you make sure the reports aren't false?
So that is a problem, and I think the way we do that is we have two sources of trust. So there is the kind of hive mentality. 1,000 people kind of gang up against a contract and make it look bad. As a developer, you can choose whether you trust the smart contract operator, who could be a trusted third party like NIST, who gives it a score based off of neutral metrics, or if you believe in total anarchy, you can have the downsides of that, or you can take the benefits of centralization, depending on which you think is the most important metric.
And what recourse does a user have if there's a mistake in the rating system?
So the rating mechanism can have the centralized party decline a rating or choose to ignore it. So for example, you can have the rating say, a bunch of people hate this, but the contract operator can say, we decided this thing is safe. You could even add it to the list of trusted contracts, and a user could petition the contract operator for that moderation.
Judges, any other questions? All right, give it up for EoShield. EoShield, do me a favor and head off stage left. I'm going to take your mic as our next team walks up. There you are, sir. This is Team Anonymous. Judges, this is Team Anonymous. So guys, give me just a second for the judges to input their scores from the last team. And Anonymous, I'll take it you're ready as you're getting excited up there. Feeling good? Breathing well?
Great.
Excellent. Judges, if I can get some thumbs up if we're good from the last score. Yep, great. All right, Anonymous, are you ready? Judges, are you ready? With 3 minutes on the clock, this is Anonymous. Go.
What do Equifax and LinkedIn have in common? Over the past few years, they've been responsible for 2 billion compromised accounts. Security experts will tell you that you should have a password for every service you use, a unique password for every service. But we don't think that's enough. When you think about what is core to your identity online, it's actually your email. Email is your passport to the web. All your interactions, your tweets, your Steam account, your games, etc., are tied to an email. But you probably have one email, you maybe have two, and maybe a rare few of you have three. We think this whole system is broken. And that's why we built Anonymous, private, disposable email for everyone. So Kendall had to upload his email in the uNoodle app earlier today. There's no reason for him to upload his Gmail account here. So he downloaded our Chrome extension, and with a click of a button, generated an anonymous email. Here are some other services that Kendall has already used Anonymous for. So he's using it for GitHub and Facebook. Services that really don't need to know his primary account. He can use the toggle and get in and out of different emails if he wants to receive them or not. But essentially, what the Chrome extension did was create an anonymous email for him that he signed up with. Now, we'll just show you an example. He is going to send an email from his current Gmail to this anonymous email. So what happens now is that this email hits a resolver, which is basically like an email server that anyone can run. The resolver queries the EOS blockchain where we had originally saved the email and a cryptographic hash of Kendall's user ID and nonce. So it queries EOS, it figures out where it needs to redirect the email to, and it sends it there. This is interesting because the resolvers don't really know that the anonymous email is linked to Kendall. They just send it to an account. And so this is the account where Kendall's email lives. He can view it and use it like any other account. You need a private key to access it. All the messages are completely encrypted. And I guess what we just showed you in under a minute was Kendall was able to create an email account without using Gmail or anything else like that with a click of a button. And this is totally censorship resistant. And so I guess why we think this is exciting is because I think we're kind of on the precipice of a privacy revolution. And there's a lot of people like Kendall who don't want to give their emails out for random services. So that's why we think Anonymous could scale to billions of people
10
in the world.
seconds.
Thank you.
Nicely done. Our fastest pitch on the stage so far with 8 seconds left. Well done, guys. Judges, 120 seconds, back to you.
All right, so my question for you is how do you prevent this from being abused for spam?
Abuse for spam. And so one of the main reasons we built it was that it can help protect you from spam to some degree. So with that toggle, you can easily turn off any emails that are incoming to that particular service if it was getting hit a lot. So like if you signed up for a service and they send you an email like every couple of minutes or even once a day, you just turn it off. You don't receive the emails anymore.
That's from the receiving side. From the
Right.
sending side, an attacker could use the same service to generate a lot of spam messages to other users.
Yeah, so what we want to do is we do actually want to charge, we want to probably charge some EOS actually for every single transaction. We didn't have an opportunity to include that in this one, but I think that's a pretty good way to at least make it quite expensive to do so.
So how is this actually used in the EOS blockchain?
So right now, what's being stored on the EOS blockchain is when you generate that email, so it's gonna that like fake email is gonna be stored and it's gonna be mapped to, well, right now it's basically like a hash of your user account and a nonce. And so every single time you generate an email, like that nonce is gonna increment and it's gonna be a new hash. And the reason that we do that is so that that email server, when it receives an email, it's gonna then do a lookup with that fake email, get back that hash, and then it's gonna map that hash to a message. And then on the front end here, you're gonna have a list of all of the hashes that you care about because you can iterate with that nonce, and you're just gonna query for that and receive all of the messages.
Is the email being stored on the blockchain?
Right now it's not, but yeah, that's the direction we want to go, or some kind of distributed service for sure. Oh, it depends on scaling limitations.
30-second warning. Judges, any other questions?
What happens if one of the relays gets blocked by a blacklist?
Yeah, so what we want to do is we want to have multiple relays. So ideally we're gonna have, I guess, each service can have multiple relayers. And the idea is that hopefully one relayer won't be tied that many times to a single user who's generating all these accounts, so that relayers don't have a lot of access to the data from a single user. And also, yeah, if a relayer were to be blocked, then there would be other options available. Still need to figure that out. We didn't really get too far on that particular part of this hackathon.
And time. Give it up for Anonymous. Well done, guys. If I can have you exit stage left, please. Exit this way as the next team starts to come through. Or just don't listen to me, and that's fine too. Oh, hello again, sir.
Hey, hi.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, judges, our next team is Pied Piper. Pied Piper. Pied Piper has been to a couple of other EOS hackathons. I've seen him before. Pied Piper, are you ready?
Yes.
Judges, if I can get some thumbs up when you guys are good. I'm seeing all thumbs up. So with that, 3 minutes on the clock, go.
Most of us here have the privilege to live in countries where you are pretty free to express yourself online. And it's actually not granted to everyone in the world. A lot of people imagine how it feels to start an internet session and be afraid to type forbidden keywords that could get you into trouble, either for your political opinion or your sexual orientation. The Tor project brought a big hope for an internet of privacy. But the big challenge of Tor is the asymmetry of the network, where you have a lot of people who use bandwidth and resource, while very few provide. And in this hackathon, we have been working very hard to find a solution to that, and we are proud to announce our project, Equator, which is fixing this issue of asymmetry between the nodes. So how does it work? practically. So this is one, and she's trying to access internet privately. So she will do so very easily by installing a Chrome extension. And this Chrome extension will turn her computer into proxy that will provide bandwidth to the network. And so while she's providing bandwidth, we are recording everything on the blockchain, so how much data, each data packet is being recorded. And then she will be able to browse content, and once she accumulates data credits, she will be able to get in return data credit and visualize in real time how much she's offering and how much she's giving back. And so by fixing this issue of equality between the users and by incentivizing network and proxy providers, we are offering a solution to fix the issue of Tor, and we are finally delivering on the promise of a real internet of privacy. And the next steps for us are to grow and expand the network, because the scalability is actually exponential. The more users join, the more users download the extension, and the faster it gets, and the more private, the best privacy we can provide and security we can provide to the users. And then also we are going to work on some algorithms in order to prevent let's say privacy intruders that can be governments or hackers or any kind of bad players.
30 seconds.
So we are going to use machine learning in order to protect our users as much as possible. And yes, basically now try to think about all those billions of people in the world and how empowered they will feel to finally be able to access the web in a private manner. And we need your help for that. So thank you so much.
Nicely done. I have to say, I'm getting a little sad. Not a single team has gone over time, and that makes me sad because I would normally call them on it. All right, judges, any questions for you?
Yeah, how many transactions per second per user are you broadcasting to the blockchain?
So right now we were on the testnet, so it was going pretty fast. But the goal is to see how we can group the packets of data in order to avoid saturating the network.
And do the financial transactions risk revealing the route that the user is using?
For this part, yes, we will have to display it publicly, but there will be no name attached or no identity attached. So it's comparable to basically Bitcoin. It can be used with privacy or not.
And how do you solve the micropayment cost of transaction problem?
So for that, we are going to create a business model where all the people who share basically are not charged. All the people who exchange are not charged, but if a user is lazy and doesn't want to actually run a node, they can still buy some credits and they can spend them. And so on this profit, we will fund the development of and pay basically for all the EOS we need to stake in order to run the network.
And what about the liability of the users that are providing the exit nodes?
We are trying to create an algorithm that will shuffle as much as possible and that will generate as much as possible nodes. So that's a big advantage actually that we found out while working on it, which is that the exit nodes are a big point of failure for Tor. And if we can multiply the nodes and have a real strong
30 seconds.
decentralization and a strong distribution basically with randomness, we protect our user much more efficiently. So it's never going to be perfect, but it's much more efficient than Tor.
Judges, any other
Just
questions?
a quick question. You did touch on it a little bit, but how do you prevent or how do you deter the bad players using this?
Very good question. Actually, for example, the reporting is it's self-reporting, basically the use of data. And so we have basically one user who's taking bandwidth and one user that is...
And time. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Pied Piper. Well done, guys. Drop your mic there, and if you can walk stage left. Ladies and gentlemen, On the Block is setting up next. But before we go any further, I need to call the next round of finalists. So, our next three finalists are, can I please give a warm round of applause? Team Geneos, come on down! Team GDPR Blockchain, come on down! And the last one of this group, we have one more group to call. Team Wings, come on down. All right, folks, do us a favor and start to make your way this way to the friendly Angel Hack staff who will help you guys get set up. And as we do that, we will start to get set up for On the Block. So we'll give it a second so the teams can walk down so the judges don't miss anything as they go through. Don't worry, guys, no rush. I just realized that basically those entire 3 teams all came from one row. All right, with that, team On the Block, are you ready? Judges, are you ready? Same 3 minutes on the clock, go.
All right, credit checks, they suck. If you've ever been to get a mortgage, you probably already know this. So they're expensive and time consuming. The market is dominated by 2 big players, Experian and Equifax. They are very bad at securing your data. For example, last year, 150 million users had their data stolen, their private data stolen from Equifax. So we think we can do better than this. So with our proof of credibility verification solution, it'll keep a user's private data private. It allows independent third parties, such as banks and government institutions, to confirm that they have interacted with a user and keeps this data private to the user themselves. And then, for example, a real estate agent can say, they can confirm my eligibility as a tenant. Once I consent, they see that my account is in good standing with my bank and everything's okay. Previously, I would have had to fill out about 10 pages of forms. I would have had to wait 5 days for an answer, and I possibly would have had to pay for this too, up to £100. So now let's see what our solution can do for this. So Sam walks into a real estate. The real estate agent wants to confirm Sam's eligibility to rent. So Sam sends his username to the real estate agent. The estate agent then sends a request via our smart contract to Sam, which queries certain aspects of his data. For example, has he got a proven identity? Is his bank account in good standing with his bank? Then Sam receives a notification on his device, which he can then authorize. As soon as he's done that, the estate agent can then see that Sam is in fact eligible for a tenancy. Good job, Sam. So the important thing about this is that the estate agent never has to see any of Sam's data. They don't have to see their bank statements or their passports or anything like that. All they need to know is that trusted third parties, for example, like Barclays, have verified that Sam is a legit guy and he can pay his bills on time. And this is important for GDPR too, because the estate agent doesn't have to handle any data, they don't have that liability with data processing. So, to recap, before, I would spend an hour doing a credit check. Now, it's done in seconds. Before, third parties could give my data to anyone they wanted. Now, I decide who sees my data. And before, you were vulnerable to identity theft. But now, you're in control. Thank you very much.
Nicely done. Absolutely our fastest pitch of the day, 21 seconds left. Judges, 2 minutes for questions from you.
All right, first question is, if the user's in control of what data they reveal, why would they not only reveal the good stuff about their credit history and not the bad stuff?
They can choose, they can choose to deny a credit request to like, for example, the real estate agent requests, hey, I want your bank verification, I want your ID verification. Now the user can just say, I'm not going to give you this, and then it's kind of like, well, why not? If it's good, you should give it to me.
And where is the data stored?
It's stored on the blockchain in a contract. So this would be encrypted. For example, there's 3 parties here. So the bank would sign your data, or would encrypt the data with your public key, and then so on and so forth for the merchant, or for the real estate agent.
Talk to me a little bit about the timestamp. So obviously you want to rent a room or something, and it's like, yeah, you got a job, blah, blah, blah. But then tomorrow you might lose your job and you might not be as in good standing as you were yesterday. How do you get over that?
Exactly. So, for example, the real estate agent could request that, okay, I want to see that your verification is within the past 6 months or within the past month or so, something like this.
So credit checks are often not just about the balance in your account or the date a payment has occurred, but a series of processes that determine how they interact with each other. How are you ensuring that, I mean, Barclays is not the one to determine whether you've paid your rent on time. You may have differing agreements month to month. How are you actually ensuring that the actualized data from a credit statement, for example, matches up with the due dates of other payments, etc., in the process to create that score?
30-second warning.
Really quick, this is a complicated question, but basically, Barclays just give various levels of verifications, but the contract, so this could be opened up to essentially third-party providers. They could use this information from various different parties. For example, your previous real estate agency might even sign as well to say that you paid your rent on time every time. And then these providers can kind of determine some kind of aggregated credit score for you, or the real estate agent could just view to...
And time.
Directly view.
Give it up, ladies and gentlemen, for Team Geneos. On the block. On the block. I lied, folks. That was Team on the block as Team Geneos comes up. Team Geneos getting ready very quickly. Nicely done. Give the judges a little bit of time to put those scores in. All right. Geneos, are you ready?
Yes.
Judges, are you ready? Same 3 minutes, go!
Hi, let's talk about Alzheimer's disease. I think somebody here, we all probably know somebody who suffered or knows who from the effects of Alzheimer's disease. Just last year, Q1 alone, the death rate skyrocketed by 33%. It's terrible. We want to help, and that's why we are here talking to you about genomics data. It's what fuels Alzheimer's research. There's 3 big things happening right now. Number 1, the cost of genomic sequencing has plummeted through the last few years. Number 2, machine learning has been spreading like wildfire throughout researcher communities. And number 3, new techniques such as federated learning allows users to contribute to research without sacrificing privacy. So that's all good, but what's missing? Well, the researchers right now, they don't have a reliable platform through which they can source these massive amounts of data. And on the other hand, most of these data are currently being owned by big organizations. So this is why we engineered a platform and an incentive program for users to do that. We believe EOS is the perfect blockchain for us to build on. So let me show you how this works. So as you can see, this is the dashboard for the user. They can get this data from visiting a new and inexpensive genomic sequencing service, and this will pipe into our platform. And in this dashboard, you see all their genome data and also their lifestyle data, which is really important for Alzheimer's research. So we also have a researcher's portal. Let me show you the researcher side. So if they want to do a research project, they can write about what the project is about. They can filter out the data using their criteria. And then this is what the main thing that happens. They will get access, they will see what kind of data sets they have access to. So what this is each of these data set is represented by a non-fungible token on the EOS blockchain. The user approves the network or our platform to list this on this decentralized marketplace. So the researcher can look at this and see, okay, I like the data, I would like to request access to this data. So once that's done, we can go back to the user view and see what happens. So as you can see, we get an access request. And as soon as the user clicks accept, you can see the EOS going up. So that's one of the incentives mechanisms where we believe that this EOS will allow them to pay it forward and buy genomic sequencing data for their loved ones. And on top of that, the last thing I want to say is they also get access to reports.
And time. Give it up for Geneos. All right, judges, 2 minutes on the clock for you to ask any questions.
What is the value of the data per user? For a single data set, for a single person's?
So this is set by the marketplace. Right now we have an offer price, and the users can also accept or reject. What we want to eventually build is using that data, we can recommend a price for this certain data. So we want to make this very granular. We want to eventually bring on different diseases. So all of them maybe have a different market for it. So they will represent different supply and demand and have different equilibrium prices.
And every user has to uniquely approve this?
Correct.
Okay.
Well, I mean, potentially not. I mean, as we have it currently set up, they do, but it could be a simple setting which allowed them to approve all requests from a certain type of purchaser, for example.
How does one make sure that the data being submitted is valid and verified?
So that's dependent on these new inexpensive genome sequencing services which are popping up. We believe that it's very possible. You look at 23andMe, for example. It's very simple to verify that they've completed their genomic sequencing, and we feel that it will be for this project as well.
On what basis would someone say no to a request for access?
So in this case, this was from NYU. I can't see any reason why
30-second warning.
Why an individual would say no to a reputable institution like that, but a lesser known institution, you know, there may be bigger questions about them.
And how do you avoid linking their financial payments to their identity to the data?
Sure. So right now, all of that information is, we only show the metadata. The account is not shown. And the contract itself, that is never linked. It's separate.
And time. Give it up for Geneos. Thanks, guys. I'll take the mic. And if you want to head stage left, I greatly appreciate it. Judges, next up is GDPR blockchain as they start to take the stage. All right. GDPR blockchain, are you ready? Cool.
Ready, Fred? Fred? Good.
Great. Judges, are you ready? Fantastic. 3 minutes on the clock. Go.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we want to talk to you about GDPR. So earlier this year is probably the biggest revolution in data privacy. But only 75% of all the companies haven't really gone and implemented the problem. So GDPR is all about how companies look after our data and how they kind of capture, how they manage customer data. They have to now be more transparent and have kind of more systems around how we can get into those systems and how we can manage who can contact us. So we thought that GDPR block would be the solution. So wouldn't it be great if you could go to any website, if you've signed up to the GDPR blockchain, and kind of have a authentication process that was a single click. And rather than me sending data to that organization, what it would do is it would allow them to access indirectly my contact details. So what Fred's done is he's actually gone to Tesco's website, and then he's gone to their customer sign-up form, and he's accepted the terms. It's actually sent him a text message, which he can then tap on a link to authenticate Tesco's to be able to access his information. What this means is that then Tesco's have access to him as a customer. So if he goes on to the the company-facing app, he can see that there is that customer available, and he can interact with them by making a telephone call. So he now taps on that customer call button. But rather than making a traditional call, what it's actually doing is it's going to the blockchain. It's also going to the enforcers servers that we are running, and actually validating that that particular company has the permissions and the consent to access that customer information and to make that contact. So it generated a number, and then there's actually an extension on that. And that number then will route through to the customer. And so if everything goes well, what he will actually be able to do is he will be able to make a telephone call. You've done it. Done it all the way through. And he's actually made that telephone call without the company that's actually interfacing it ever knowing the customer's phone number. What this also means is there's a huge benefit to you as an individual. So you can have an application which shows you all of the organizations, all of the companies that you have shared your information from. And because Fred immediately hung up that call, we'll say it's spam, even though it looked like my wife, and he can actually go in there, he can toggle the switch and immediately disable Tesco's access from being able to call me or any send messages to me. So this is using the blockchain to do all of those logs and to actually manage that relationship. And you see, as soon as he did the toggle, it actually updated in the company's app to say that they cannot call him. They cannot even use the telephone number that they had previously because it's single use and it's generated on the fly and it's actually married up to the blockchain records that we've got for them.
Nicely done. With a few seconds to spare, judges, questions for you.
Is this done on a private blockchain or a public blockchain?
So it's done on a public blockchain. And the main reason behind that is there is actually then a public ledger for all the communications that happen between them. And because that's immutable, it means that if there's any question about whether an organization has adhered to GDPR, they can actually go to it and they can say, look, our records are there. You can see exactly what's going on.
And the phone number is stored on the public?
So we actually, we encrypt the phone number using asymmetric encryption, and it means that actually only the enforcer servers actually know how to decrypt it. So no organization or company can ever get access to it. It's done by that stage.
And if it's on a public blockchain, is the blockchain making a record of all attempted calls?
So it is making access to those, but it is only from a point of view of the IDs between the individuals. And it's not actually holding any information about the users on those records. It's just the accounts effectively that it's dealing with.
Judges, oh, go ahead.
Phone numbers from a direct marketing point of view are being used less and less. So first question, how do you as the business attribute more personal data against that record? So you would have to have some PII data to identify the customer that you first want to call, and you would generally segment that based on attributes. So how do you ensure that actually the stuff that identifies that person is non-identifiable whilst being identifiable? And then the second part is how do you actually apply this across marketing channels beyond phone number or email, cookies, fingerprints, the various other retargeting capabilities in the industry?
So
30 seconds.
To answer your first question, we will, can you repeat the first bit again?
How do you make sure that they're actually able to find a segment or group of customers within this CRM?
So that's effectively, it will be acting as the customer master for the reference point, and then we would be able to implement into your CRM, your on-prem solution, and actually kind of marry it up together, because the chances are a lot of that other data you're not going to be wanting as frequently. So we can use the blockchain for what it's very good at, and then kind of defer to more traditional systems.
And time. Give it up for GDPR blockchain. Nice job, folks. Thank you. And if I can have you leave off that side of the stage, please. Or not, that's okay. All right. Our next team is coming up right now. This will be Team Wings, but that means it's time for me to announce our final finalists. Our final 3 finalists for the EOS Hackathon London are, again, in no particular order, Team Chestnut, come on down. If I call your name again, do me a favor and make your way over to the right-hand side so that we can get you set up for on stage. Next up, Team EOSIO, come on down. And our final finalist, our last team for today. And remember that if we don't call your name, don't be too worried. While these are the finalists for the top 3, best UX, greatest social impact, always have the option to come from outside of the finalists. Our final finalist is Team Kubera, come on down. Do us a favor, start to make your way just over there, and we'll give them a second to cut across as they do. With that, Team Wings, are you ready? Great. Judges, are you ready? Fantastic. And we move into our final 4, 3 minutes on the clock. Go.
We are Project Wings, and our goal is to help safeguard your journey into finding love online. So the online dating industry is a $1.6 billion industry in China and a $3.0 billion industry in the US. And it's growing by 25% year over year. And that's going across all demographics, not just young people, but old people are starting to use the internet to try to find that special someone. But the problem is, the internet is not built for that kind of secure, intimate interaction to be transferred. What we need is a more secure way to do it. Companies like Ashley Madison recently had a data leak. That data leak destroyed the lives of many, many individuals. It led to the loss of breaking up relationships, loss of careers, and even loss of life. Some people took their life over it. They couldn't stand the embarrassment. We want to use blockchain technology to ensure that data only gets to the people you want it to get to. We want to make sure that these end-to-end encryption becomes the standard for data transfer. Another problem with these online dating sites is that there are many, many fake profiles, scammers. People are trying to take advantage of your desire to connect with other people in order to steal your private information or even your money. So our application, Decentralized Dating Application Wings, allows you to create profiles that expose a part of your public information, and you could also put in your private information as well. It is only after two people have consent and matched that the private information is revealed. So on the left there, we have Stella. She just put in her information. And you can see a preview of her public information. And on our left, on my left, is a profile of Andre. He also put in his information. And he saves his profile. So Andre explores the tab. She sees Stella. She seems like a nice girl enough. She has a reputation that is given to her by the other users of the platform. She's reputable enough. He decides to connect with her. After Andre has connected with Stella, Stella will get a notification on her application with the information that was previously unknown to her, now public. Now Stella could call up Andres if they want to go grab a coffee or watch a movie. With this application, what we're trying to do is set a new standard for how applications are done, how data sharing and data privacy is handled using the blockchain technology. Thank you.
Nicely done. Judges, 2 minutes on the clock for you.
What's to stop one of the parties from disclosing all the information publicly after they've received permission?
Right, that's where the reputation system will come in. If initially you want to interact with someone that has a very low reputation score, you're putting yourself at risk. If you want to wait for someone that has a high reputation, that has interacted with other members of the community, so that you make sure that he wouldn't go around disclosing your private information. So you have to make your own judgment on that case on a person-by-person basis.
And did all those actions go through an EOSIO chain?
Yes.
And who exactly was doing the validation? I didn't quite get that bit.
The validation? Oh, that would be other members on the platform, other users of the platform.
So how do we know, for example, it's not a jealous boyfriend that just doesn't want Stella to have a new boyfriend?
Right. Understandable, and we got this question quite a bit. I was talking to other users of online dating sites, and it is true that is possible, but that would just be one member. So one member's rating on another member will have an impact, but not enough to completely destroy his reputation.
So the profiles are generally public, so that you can actually find people?
Right, so it would be up to the users to decide which information will be public and which information will be private until it's matched. We could even have, further on, we could even have different levels of permission where if you just want to view your phone number this time or like maybe your home address next time.
30 seconds.
Get comfortable.
How do you make sure that the users that are registering on there are legitimate to start with?
Right, so that's where the identity system will come in. Obviously, we would like to do more on our end, maybe having some kind of locally verifying with photo and ID verification. That information will be only to verify, but
10
not
seconds.
Broadcast. But that's something we're looking into as well.
How does the matching algorithm work so I find my true love?
So right now it's still pretty primitive. You would kind of have to just swipe through. But I imagine in the future we could, do some network analysis to try and recommend.
And time. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up one more time. Wings. I'll take your mic as you guys head off stage left. Thank you. Team Chestnut starting to take over. Judges and everybody in the audience, everybody who's been patient with us in the welcome wing, this does take us into our final 3 finalists for today. Team Chestnut, are you ready?
We are.
Judges, can I see some hands if you're ready? That's across the board. 3 minutes on the clock. Go.
Oh, crap. I just sent my landlord 1,000 EOS instead of $1,000. Like, what do I do now? If this was with Bank of America, I would just call them up and I would get this refund. I'm sure they could take care of me, but now I'm stuck and I don't know what to do if I lost the money forever. How can we ever expect blockchain to get adoption whenever users have risk like this, right? Well, now, what if you had a smart account that took care of you and looked after you so you didn't make simple mistakes like this? Well, now you can. I'm Ash Oro, and this is Team Chestnut, and we've created smart accounts so that you can use your account and set rules of engagement so your account works for you. Let's take a look at the demo. You go to our website, and let's just assume that we've already created this multi-sig account where our smart contract keeps one of the signatures, you keep one of the signatures, and then you can set other accounts to sign on your behalf as well. Maybe these are your accounts, maybe these are your friends or family's accounts, but these are trusted kind of backup accounts. So in this case, let's set a spending limit because we obviously didn't want to send 1,000 EOS. So if we set the spending limit, let's set it to 500 EOS. And this is a monthly expenditure. So this account has been approved by you during the account creation and the smart contract applied on top for 500 EOS per month. Now, I know it's a little bit blurry, but we've also went ahead and approved only 3 whitelist accounts to this as well. So you don't send to somebody that has an I instead of a 1 or something like that. You can see over here on the left side, right side, that some of the, and it's blurry again, I'm sorry, some of these transactions have been rejected and others have been approved. For instance, if you try to send over that amount, that threshold, and remember, you set this, then it's going to get rejected. Oh, wait, hold on. Sorry. Now, as for privacy, we don't need any of your personal identifiable information, and why would we? We don't want it, and you don't need to give it to us. Now, as for security, put your hacker hat on. Would you rather hack an account that has all of your EOS liquid, or would you be more incentivized to hack an account that has some level of security above it in a smart contract that's protecting you? How does this scale? Obviously, EOS is going to be the community that we look for first, but eventually we see ourselves as a bridge from other cryptocurrency communities to see what can really happen whenever you have an account like this. Ultimately, the long goal here is to have traditional people feel so comfortable and a lower risk tolerance that they can come over and start using and becoming blockchain users. So what could you do with a Chestnut, a smart account? How would you configure it, right? What would a hacker do? Now, if you want a Chestnut account, come talk to us. And remember, a Chestnut account is a hard account to crack. Thank you.
Well done. Nice job, guys. All right, folks, why don't you stand in the middle while the next team comes over, or your team comes over. Judges, 2 minutes on the clock for you.
Is this a contract that a user deploys to their own account, or do they use an existing contract and just transfer the balance and have it managed by the Chestnut account?
Yeah, so we would create the contract for them through our WYSIWYG editor type thing. Not editor, but the account creation model. So if you didn't have an account, we could create your account for you and then the Chestnut account and apply that smart contract to the Chestnut account. Of course, it would be multi-sig, so the account wouldn't have keys of its own, but you would delegate other accounts to sign on your behalf.
And what about the cost of deploying a contract to all these different accounts?
Yeah, well, we would have a subscription model. We anticipate a freemium and a premium subscription model. Now, if we have the rec sometime soon, then that could change things. Otherwise, you could just delegate to our account, which would give us the resources.
Judges, any other questions? All right, ladies and gentlemen, a warm round of applause for Chestnuts. Chestnut, I'll take this as you guys head stage left, if you don't mind. All right, next up, Team EOSIO. Oh, yeah, you might want this, huh? Yeah, useful. Makes it slightly easier. All right. Judges, are you ready? We'll give them a few more minutes to put in their scores here. All right. EOSIO, are you ready?
Yes.
Judges, are you ready? 3 minutes on the clock. Go!
For most of us, using EOS, storing our private keys and tokens in secure place is pretty simple, easy. But for other people, like for 99% of them, it's pretty hard. What would you recommend to someone who don't know what is IP address or what Linux is, to be sure that no one will hack him and he will be able to use EOS without problems? We would like to introduce a solution that I hope you will never seen before. It's safe, it's simple, and it's very user-friendly. We created a decentralized application which is using our hardware device and a smartphone or computer, and we called it Easy EOS. We hope this application will make EOS easy. Let's see it in action. So, setup is very simple. All we need to do is to connect the hardware device to our smartphone and launch our application. Our application will create a smart contract, transfer all phones into this smart contract, and then we can start using this smart contract as our wallet. For example, we can do transactions, we can do an action like in normal wallet, but there's one difference. Every transaction you make have to wait 30 days for confirmations. But it's possible to do transaction immediately. All you need to do is just to send your transaction to our device. And after you confirm this transaction on the device, it will be executed immediately. So the most important thing in our solution is that security of this is not guaranteed by our hardware device. It's guaranteed by smart contract. It's not important. It's super important. For example, if you lose your phone, it's not a problem. You can still use device to restore your keys. If you lose device, it's also not a problem because you can still use your phone to restore your funds after 30 days. If someone will hack your phone, will get your private key, it's also not a problem because he have to wait 30 days to the transaction, and you can cancel his transaction and transfer your funds to other account immediately. The same for a hardware device. If someone someday will find a 0 day for it, it's not a problem because he still has to wait 30 days to do transactions. Or we're trying to do our device as simple as possible. It has an OLED screen, which is very important because it protects us against man-in-the-middle attacks. So let's make EOS easy with Easy EOS.
And time, right on the dot. Well done. Judges, questions for Easy EOS.
So it's clear that you didn't build that hardware device this weekend.
We did. I can do it again. To be honest, it's my first device with OLED screen.
Wow, amazing. How is this different than just having, say, 2 cell phones with keys on them?
If I would be a hacker, I would choose to hack 2 phones instead of this. This device follows the principal keys, which is keep it simple, stupid. So it's
all right. And what if I'm trying to confirm a transaction that's not a transfer, but a million other things like we've seen demonstrated here today?
One more time, please.
If I'm trying to do something more general than just transferring tokens, how do I know that the device is signing the right thing? I noticed you displayed a little bit of information on the screen there.
I think we can display everything on this OLED screen. It has a good...
I mean, we for now only assume that we will handle the transfer and it is protected by the EOS contract. It detects what is the type of the transaction. It detects that there is an EOS and there is not a malicious code like run there. But in general, it could be extended, so we could like make it more intelligent.
Okay, one last question. How is this a smart contract compared to just our default authority permission system?
That's a good question, and I think that our thing is much more simpler because it allows people who don't know blockchain to sign a transaction.
30-second warning.
And they wouldn't have to learn much. They would like use their regular app, and they could choose like a confirmation here on the screen. They can see the details, and it's just for the convenience.
Real quick, how much is the device?
Production cost will be around $10.
Is that the revenue model in the project, selling the device?
Not only, in the future we also gonna launch extra service like third-factor authorization and information to users.
And time. Give it up one more time for Team EOSIO. Nice job, guys. If I can have you exit right over there with all of our other finalist teams. As last, but certainly not least, hello.
Hi, Brian.
Judges, this will be our last team, Team Kubera. We'll give the judges a little bit of time to put their final scores in as we get our stretch on.
I would do a star jump for you.
No.
At least I offered.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, Kubera, are you ready? Judges, are you ready? Seeing all hands, 3 minutes on the clock, our final finalists, go!
Do you know how much your data is worth online? I think we're ready to start a movement. And in this movement, we're going to shift the power dynamics of data online. The truth is that this data that you have online, you've no idea how much you're worth because you've never really checked. And perhaps this is the moment that the tide shifts. My name is Tia Kansara, and I would like to present Kubera, the app that allows us, you, to own your data, earn from your data, and to set your own privacy standards. Kubera is the Hindu god of wealth redistribution. This means, unlike Cambridge Analytica, you get to upload your own data. That means, think about that multi-dimensional human that you are online, like the avatar. Each piece of your information is kept separately online. Your medical history, your identity, perhaps your location. Hey, maybe even your browser history. All that information is uploaded by you. You get to choose your privacy settings. Let's just say you want to choose, is it going to be 1, exact information like granular, I'm 35 years old. Would you like to know a scale between 25 and 35? Or would you like for anybody not to know your information? The truth is that having had all of that data uploaded, you now get to choose your verification of privacy. We take that data through our front end, designed by React. The point of that is it's anonymized. And once it's anonymized, you get to, having chosen exactly what you want and how private you want it, you get to choose exactly how you want that data to be revealed. Once it's kept online, that then is transferred via a smart contract, depending on what kind of private on-chain or off-chain solutions we've decided to create in the future. The point is that all of that data, we take your, let's say, age and your nationality, and combine that into a pool of data that is then used in order for a company, let's say an enterprise, to capture that information, connect with our blockchain, and to verify that by paying through a token. That token is collaboratively owned. In other words, everybody in that pool earns money every single time there is a pull on that data. So there you have it, Kubera.
Nicely done. And I have to say, I'm very proud of all of our teams. Not a single one went over time. That's impressive. Judges, you've also been very good not going over time, so I'll give you 2 minutes once again.
So how does your system verify that the data that's submitted is accurate? Normally when you're collecting data, the collection party is the one that's saying this is real data, but when you're getting it directly from the users, what's to prevent it from being fake?
Initially, we allow users to input their own data. Then we connect social media providers such as Facebook and LinkedIn. We connect to third parties such as banks, universities. Then we have the fitness tracking apps, and this can just open the whole new universe, platform, ecosystem of data providers and data brokers.
Where is the data stored?
Currently, it is stored on the blockchain in the anonymized removing personally identifiable information. We were thinking about the encryption, but that introducing the encryption and trusted the third parties that will store the encryption keys was beyond the scope of this hackathon. Currently, it is anonymized form.
So you said that some of the data could be very targeted or some of the data could be within a range. So can you choose on every single data pool whether you give the targeted data or the range of data? Are you able to do that as a
That's
user?
you get to choose. So if you've decided that you're going to allow your age or identity data or location data to be shared, you get to have very specific keys that then are requested according to a blockchain that pulls that data depending on an enterprise that's interested in that. So the whole idea is
30-second warning.
Authority, basically, online that gathers that information in order for that to be checked via the enterprise. That pool of data is market dynamics priced. So effectively, the more people that are on there and the more, say, a promotion requests that information and that there are users that could provide that, they're matched.
Quick fire questions, because not much time. How do you actually handle the scale of data that you're storing on the blockchain? The amount of data coming out of your own car could be gigs a second. How are you storing that scale?
Scalability is a very good problem to solve, and we are standing on the shoulders of the giants, the smartest people in the industry.
And time! Give it up for Kubera! Guys, do me a favor, head straight over there with our other finalists. And you're walking away with my mic, sir, so thank you so much for that, but that's okay. Ladies and gentlemen, a warm round of applause, all of our finalists today. That's it. Judging is done. Demos are done. You made it through. Ladies and gentlemen, we have winners! First and foremost, you made it through. Well done. This was a huge hackathon. 470 people, 90 different projects. An incredible, incredible event. So thank you guys all for that. Just one quick housekeeping note before we get started. After this, if you've left anything, either downstairs, all the way in the basement, or next door in the flight deck, we are going to need to escort you through there, so just be ready. There's going to be a bit of a wait, but once you're done with that, here's the good news. You may join us for happy hour, whether you won or lost, in the Making of the Modern World exhibit downstairs on the main hall. So, that's the good news to look forward to. With that, who's ready to hear some winners? Yeah, it was all right, but let's try that again. Ladies and gentlemen, do me a favor. I'd like to put some hands in the air, please. Can I hear this? No, just two. Give me just two. Ready, 1, 2. Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, let's get some winners. Thank you. With that, it's time to start with our very first set of winners. Our first set of winners are not participants. We had an incredible group of mentors that we wanted to work with all weekend long. 70 different mentors spread across 2 rooms, essentially 2 different hackathons in the space. However, we had an incredible outpouring of support for them, and we'd like to showcase our thanks to those mentors who were here. However, because we had not 1 but 2 rooms, we have not 1 but 2 most valuable mentors. So if you'll do me the honor of joining me in a warm round of applause for our prize for the most valuable mentors are Monique Bachner and Chris Daw. Come on down! Nice job, guys. Well done. Ladies and gentlemen, your most valuable mentors for the EOS Hackathon London. Give it up, guys. Why don't you head straight back that way if you can. And let's give a warm round of applause for all of our mentors one more time. They stuck with it. They stuck through it. They made it all the way through. Next up, it's time to hit our superlatives. It's time to move into the participant prizes. The first of the $3,000 superlative prizes, the best social media post. $3,000 US for the best post around the hashtag. Can I please get a warm round of applause? It looks like not one person this time, but just by the username, it sounds like these people are probably gonna have to split it. Ladies and gentlemen, best social post goes to the Cybercode Twins. Come on down! they come all the way down. Ladies and gentlemen, one more nice round of applause. They were intriguing us and making us laugh all weekend. The Cybercode Twins! Nice job, guys. Thank you so much. Go ahead and grab that.
There is two of us, but she's getting her bag.
Getting the bag works well. Thank you guys so much. Why don't you head just that way? Woohoo! One more time, the Cybercode Twins. Folks, head that way if you can. Not down those stairs, though. That is a bad way to go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, next up, it's time to move into our team prizes. And by that, it's time to go to the best UX and UI. Now, this prize was chosen by our mentors. They were the ones going around really taking a look at all of what was provided, both what you submitted in UNoodle, as well as what the teams actually saw. So can we please get a warm round of applause for the best UX and UI at the EOS Hackathon London. Chestnut, come on down! Congratulations, guys. Congratulations. Go grab your check. Congrats. Ladies and gentlemen, the first of our team prizes for $3,000. One more nice round of applause. Team Chestnut, ladies and gentlemen. Guys, thank you so much. Why don't you head right over there with the Cybercode Twins and their check as well. We have one final superlative prize, one final $3,000 prize. Before we get into the big ones, those top three, I would like to announce the Greatest Social Impact Prize. This is something that the judges were really looking out for in all the different rooms. And one particular team had stood out even before they came on stage as one of the finalists. This team, the Greatest Social Impact team, is Team Geneos. Come on down! Congratulations, congratulations, congratulations. Nice job, guys. And one thing that some people might not know, and you guys might not know, is as of not too many hackathons ago, it was decided all Greatest Social Impact teams will be heading to the grand finale. So ladies and gentlemen, give it up, Geneos, to the grand finale. Guys, head straight over there with the other teams, please. And with that, there could be only three. We saw 90 different projects over this weekend, even though we saw at the beginning 117 different teams come through the doors. Some of those teams split into other groups. Some of those teams didn't finish their projects. But of that number, we were left with three. The top three teams, the third place team from the EOS Hackathon London. And to help me pass this off, can I get one more round of applause? CEO of Block.one, ladies and gentlemen, Brendan Bloomer. So, third place and $10,000 plus a trip to the EOS Grand Finale. Location to be announced. One more time. Third place. On the block, come on down! On the block, coming all the way down. Come over here, grab your guys' check. Well done, guys, well done. Now do me a favor, just stand right here with Brendan if you don't mind. That would be perfect. With that, it's time for second place. And to help me give this prize, one more round of applause for him as well, the CTO of Block.one, Dan Larimer, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe our most valuable questioner when it comes to the judges from round two. If I can please get a warm round of applause for second place, Team Chestnut, come back down! Chestnut, you're walking away with $25,000. And Team Chestnut, do me a favor. Walk right over there and hold your check. On the block, if I can get you to come right back here for a moment, please. I'd love to have you guys here for this last announcement. All right, with that, there can be only one left. One final grand prize winner. One final team, and I have to say, it was unanimous and it was quick. It was actually the quickest deliberation in EOS Hackathon history, and it was a lot of fun downstairs. The overwhelming winner of $100,000 and a trip to the grand finale A warm round of applause, please. Team. EoShield, come on down! Well done! Well done! Ladies and gentlemen, with that is it. We are finished. We have nothing else to give you. We hope you've enjoyed the hackathon. If you have left anything downstairs or in the flight deck, please follow our staff all the way down the stairs to the IMAX ticketing booth downstairs. We will start to lead you there as well. Please join us in the happy hour downstairs. London, it's been a pleasure. Good night!